This podcast is a production of the Brickyard Network. To find out more about our lineup of ceramic podcasts, visit brickyardnetwork.org.
This episode is sponsored by Monkey Stuff. Monkey Stuff makes things for makers. We're inspired every day by the craft and creativity of makers, and design and manufacture tools and accessories to try to make your making life a bit more delightful. Our products are designed in California, by makers and for makers, and manufactured in the USA. Check out our line of pottery accessories and tools at monkeystuff.com. Follow us on Instagram to see what we're up to in our studios, and keep on making great things.
Hey, this is Erin with Cornell Studio Supply located in Dayton, Ohio, exclusive distributor of Jen Allen templates and Put a Lid on It t-shirts. We are a proud sponsor of this episode and the Brickyard Network. Find all your pottery and ceramic sculpture needs, including the largest stock of GR pottery forms at cornellstudiosupply.com. At Cornell Studio Supply, we are owned and operated for potters, by potters.
Hello, my name is Kathy King, and welcome to the For Flux Sake podcast. I'm coming to you from the Harvard Ceramics program in our fair city, Allston, Massachusetts. I'm here with Rose and Matt Katz of the world-famous Ceramic Materials Workshop, and they are ready to answer your burning questions about clay and glaze. Howdy, Matt and Rose.
Hey, Kathy.
Howdy.
Howdy is correct. I have a conundrum that I need your help for. I don't get to call in, apparently, because you've told me not to numerous times. But I do have a project that I'm working on with the Harvard Art Museum, and it's super fascinating. And I just wanted to see what you two knew and maybe people in the audience. But basically, long story short, we're looking at these Chinese porcelain pieces that are glazed with a very glossy black glaze, and it's often referred to as mirror black. Now, who's calling it that? The art historians, curators, I don't know. But that is how they describe that glaze. And they have some have gold luster decoration, very highly detailed decoration, dragons and florals, et cetera, et cetera. And then there are some that are just black. And so what they found, if you look at it really closely in the right light, you can see a shadow of what the decoration was, but the gold luster's gone. Wow. So we took a piece that had like the gold luster that looks like almost you sanded it off. So it was gone in some places, it was intact in others. And we looked at that under the microscope the other day because, I mean, it looks so perfect. It's like, it's got to be a transfer. But we could see individual paintbrush marks. So it is somebody painted, because they're amazing, because they probably did it all day long, every day for a gazillion years.
Years and years, yeah.
But why is it that, what got rid of the gold luster? So the different, and before you answer, these are the different theories. The different theories are that it abrades off, that these are, very old, and over time,
How old are they?
Just well, actually, some of them are not that old, 17th to 18th century, but some are more like 16th to 17th. So let's see. So abrasion, a solvent, did a collector or somebody trying to resell these did not want to sell a damaged gold luster piece, so they were able to take it off? Or did they fire it again and try and fire the gold luster off? Is that possible? Because I looked at this, what I call like the ghost image, and it definitely looks like, almost like if you use glass etch. Have you ever done that? So it's got like a tiny, very faint, foggy texture to it, not texture, but look to it.
Where the gold luster was.
Yeah. I mean, it's perfect. Like it had the same amount of detail, Rose. So you can see
Wow.
like exactly what that gold luster was. It's yeah, there you go. And there is a piece at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, in addition to the ones at the Harvard Art Museum. At Isabella Stewart Gardner, they were able to figure out a way to photograph this, so you can see what that looks like, and we can maybe share these links with everybody. But just in theory, is that possible? Can you fire luster off a piece entirely?
I would kind of assume so. I mean, you've got a thin layer of gold. I mean, that's applied real gold. So real gold,
Right.
Matt, what's real gold's melting point? I mean, jewelers melt gold all the
It's
time
not
in their
that hot.
studios. So it's not that hot. So, and it's hotter, it's colder than what we fire for typically high fire glaze. So I would think you could probably burn it off.
I mean, I've had lusters fail, but yeah, gold's melting temperature is only cone 04. It's literally 1064.
So do you think that the interface of that, when you initially fired that luster on, and let's say you could fire it back to cone 10 and
Oh
it
yeah, I think it would leave an
disappears, that
imprint.
it would. Okay. So I'm going to try it. That's what we're going to do, is I'm going to set up a series of tests. And so I was looking yesterday for a glaze that looks similar to this. And I will do some different tests.
Oh, that's exciting. That's so cool.
Going back to your concepts of why it may have failed, I mean, something involving not necessarily abrasion, but just wear is very real. Those of you who have gold luster edges on your dinnerware, you'll know that it's commonly don't put those in the dishwasher, because you can wear off, you can abrade off the gold lusters.
Even the silver, like yeah, platinum, silver, a mother of pearl, you can take off in the dishwasher.
Yeah, because those luster layers are real metal. Okay, so they are, they take the gold, they mix it with hydrochloric acid, which makes gold chloride, and then they put that in oil medium, and that's what you're brushing on. And when you fire them, the reason why they smell is you're actually creating a reduction reaction, and you're breaking it back down to real gold. And then you need to fire it hot enough so that the glaze begins to soften, and then the metal is then embedded in the glass. It's just not a very good embedding. So if it has any way to abrade it, it will decompose. What I don't know is, if you just left gold luster sitting around perfectly untouched for 300 years, would it decompose to some degree? That I'm more skeptical of. I would think it would need a cleaning, an abrasion, something. I mean, theoretically, like a polish could do it. Like just taking it and cleaning it could be wiping off layers of gold.
Interesting.
I mean, if you're silver, the silver would oxidize, but gold doesn't oxidize that way.
Yeah, gold doesn't oxidize.
So it wouldn't, like, it would be tarnished. So it doesn't necessarily give you a reason to rub it off.
Yeah, because the ghost image would be there in any way, because what you're getting is the contact surface where the gold was embedded in the glaze, which is why there would be some surface variegation.
Right, because the glaze is fired super hot in those big old kilns.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the gold would be a much lower temperature. What, it's like 022 for luster. So super low. So it would interact with some of the glass, but it wouldn't actually be part of the glass. It would still leave a film of where that design was.
The trick with those luster firings is that you're trying to get a temperature that is low enough so that you don't burn out. And I've had lusters burn out. I've had gold luster like just not be there after
sure,
the coating. And so you're trying to get it hot enough so that it doesn't burn out, but then low enough so that the glass softens so that they physically bond together. But, a high temperature glaze, really sort of stiffens up at about 800, 700 C, which is like 1500 Fahrenheit. So it's a really tricky area to get those to. So it could be either I would be fascinated to see if just straight up burnout works, though. That it very well may be.
So like they call it a mirror glaze. Does it have like a opalescence or like a
No,
a
no.
luster to it?
It definitely does. I mean, in the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum article, they talk about a cobalt, manganese, kind of base glaze. Very vague. It definitely does not look like a cobalt rich black. It's got more like a warmer tone to it.
Oh, so maybe an iron black or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, to be continued.
That's so cool.
Yeah, those are the fun days when you get to go look at things under a microscope at the wonderful Conservation Study Center at the Harvard Art Museum. Today's episode is brought to you by the Rosenfield Collection of Functional Ceramic Art. The collection exists as an online source for research and inspiration, featuring photos of thousands of objects made by over 800 artists. The images are high quality and can be used with no permission required. To find out more, visit www.rosenfieldcollection.com.
Glazes don't make sense, but that's why Rose and I are here at ceramicmaterialsworkshop.com, helping translate glazes for real ceramicists like you. So join us for our brand new class starting October 1st. It's for everyone from beginners to masters. We clear up all the mysteries of glazes to make them work for you. Join us at ceramicmaterialsworkshop.com for making glazes make sense.
Let's get to it. Here we go. We are going to begin today with a question from Maddie. Oh, and Maddie's from Cambridge, Mass. Hello, Maddie. And Maddie wants to know about where she can check out things to know whether we're going to Materials Corner before we know.
Hi, everyone. This is Maddie, and I'm calling in from Cambridge, Massachusetts. I have a follow-up question. In your February 12th episode, you were talking about how affordable purple glaze can be hard to come by because the ingredients used to make it have been fluctuating in price over the past couple years. The studio I'm at just flat out is on a hiatus from carrying purple glaze due to the price of tin specifically. Anyhow, I'm working on a project focused on this topic, and I have so many questions about the supply chains for ceramic materials. Like, what are the current mines producing tin for pottery use? How have these changed over time? What market forces impact the price and availability of these elements? So, do you know where I can go to find out more information about supply chains for ceramic materials? Thanks.
Oh, good question.
Well, I re-listen to our podcast. That's where I go.
That's a really good question because, it's not, even though we live in the times of the internet, it's still hard to find this information. It's not like you type in like, where are ceramic mines? Because the mining industry has different terminology for the ceramic industry than we do. So if you're looking for like a silica mine, you could find that one easily. But if you're looking for a tin mine, good luck with that one. You can't search tin mines in the world very easily.
Well, and that leads to the unfortunate shortcoming in what Maddie is looking for, in that the materials that we use, although we think of them as ceramic materials, are not mined for our purposes. Dr. Carty, my mentor, would always say that the materials we are using, the amount that the ceramic industry uses, and I'm not talking about art ceramics, I am talking about tile and toilets and all the things made out of clay, make up less than 10% of all of the kaolin used in the world. Okay, and our materials are made primarily out of kaolin. So I know Rose knows this answer, so I want to ask Rose. Kathy, do you know what the number one use of kaolin in the world is?
Kaopectate.
Nope, although that is correct. It used to be made out of kaolin. It isn't anymore, but
Makeup.
nope. That's a good. That it is used for that, but not the right answer. Number one use of kaolin.
Ben, do you have an answer?
Paper.
Paper.
Paper. Ding ding ding.
Oh, okay. All right.
90% of all of the kaolin used in the world goes to the manufacturing of paper. They add kaolin to paper to make it smooth and white and stiff and all of the things that we know about paper. And in fact, there are so many kaolin mines scattered through the southern US, making brands of kaolin that you have never heard of because it is unusable for ceramics and is strictly used for paper. So whether it's the kaolin or the feldspar or the silica, the ceramic applications of these are minor compared to using them for paper and plastics and every other application. Makeup, yeah, all of those different things. So the first flaw is just looking at it from a ceramic standpoint. You're never going to find them in reference to ceramics. So what we have, though, is a couple of interesting avenues. One is a website that was put together by a friend of ours named Del Harrow, who was doing an academic research project, and he put together a website called Ceramic Materials Atlas. And it's an interesting site.
One.
Yeah, Dell describes it as being more poetic than scientific, but it is a fascinating place to start where understanding the sourcing of many of these materials. It doesn't do everything, but it does give the basis to where a lot of them are coming from in their mining process. The next thing to understand is that most of our materials, no matter what some people may believe about international sales and shipping, are international. Like you brought up tin. We don't have viable tin mines in the United States, everybody. Just like the fact that we're never going to get American banana or coffee, right? These materials have.
I have a banana plant here in New England. It might be tiny, but it's a banana plant.
Here come the tariffs for all of those because, yeah, you need tin. The fluctuation of the prices, that's market price. Tin a couple of years ago, yeah, like jumped up. It's usually about $50 a pound, and it jumped up to like $150 a pound. The story that I was told is that some people were trying to play on the commodities market. Go watch the now ancient movie Trading Places if you want to know about manipulating commodities markets, because that's actually what that movie is all about. But yeah, that is just the way it is. But the locations are kind of amazing. Actually, as a compliment to Dell's website, I actually went and made a Google map, and we can post the link to it, of taking all the locations that I know where there are ceramic mines for ceramic materials that we commonly use and putting them on a Google map. And it's kind of amazing because they are all over the world. And then they're random. That's the other thing to understand about materials is that geography is random. It means nothing about international borders, and they can appear absolutely everywhere for crazy reasons. And so you can go and explore those. The supply chain in of itself, though, it is just the mining supply chain, right? We as humans, we are makers and we need materials, and that's just mining and distribution. And even a lot of the mining companies, there's a secondary distribution company that'll ship it out and all of that. And that's just a complicated thing. But you can get some of that impression from ceramicmaterialsatlas.com as well.
Very cool. All right. All right. Well, thank you so much for that question, Maddie. Now we will move on to Rachel's question from Richmond, Virginia. And Rachel may need some Purell for her clay.
Hi, for Flux Sake. This is Rachel calling from Richmond, Virginia. My question is about reclaimed clay and bacteria. I'm relatively new to ceramics, and I love the idea of using and learning about reclaimed clay, especially studios that do communal reclaim. I was in Open Studio today, and one of the teachers at my studio mentioned she would never touch reclaim outside of an individual or a really small group because clay is teeming with bacteria. You are creating fertile ground for everything that was on everyone's hands that touched that clay. I'm curious if there's standard procedure for UV sterilization of reclaim, and how much we should be concerned about getting bacterial and viral sick from reclaimed clay. The conflict between economy and environmentalism and public health. Thank you. Love the show. I listen all the time. Bye.
I'd be upset if my clay didn't have bacteria in it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was going to
goodness
say,
gracious.
just don't touch any doorknobs either, because I think these probably have more bacteria from every single person than
I know.
my
And
clay
don't,
body
Don't
does.
use your iPhone, whatever you
Wait,
do.
science fact. Do you guys know this is why copper and brass doorknobs are a thing?
Yeah.
Because copper is naturally disinfecting. Yeah.
Yes, and brass too. So brass railings out in public. Yeah. If it's a metal handle, I'll use it.
During COVID, were you guys Purelling down your cereal boxes? And
No.
okay.
I wasn't
I wiped
doing
down
that.
groceries once. I did.
Yeah,
I did it out in the garage.
There were wild times. Yeah.
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 Mhm.
Well, actually, the COVID is a good reference. You know, back during COVID, one of our students at Ceramic Materials Workshop, taking our online glaze classes, was an epidemiologist, actually from Harvard. And Sue, hey Sue, if you're listening, and it was the big topic of discussion. And Sue, COVID wasn't her area, but she said during COVID, everybody got dragged into the COVID studies. And so this was the common topic, because she would come to classes every week and we'd talk about it. What she had said at the time is that from a COVID perspective, again, going back to COVID, you were in much more danger having wheels face to face with another student than you were from any contamination in the clay. That the clay would not carry or transfer COVID in any particular.
It doesn't incubate.
Correct.
I like that word.
Yeah. So that is definitely that thing. But like, as Kathy said, like, yeah, that clay totally has bacteria in it, like a lot.
yeah, like a lot. Yeah. I mean, I don't think you want to sterilize it.
No. You don't want to lick your fingers with it either.
Yeah,
like
you don't want to have slippy fingers and eating your lunch. Would not recommend that.
Is it definitely like containing like lots of random people's skin cells and whatever things they have living on the surface of their skin? Like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, not to mention it's coming from the ground. What's in the ground? I mean, come on. You can't control what's there.
It was pointed out about communal recycled clay. And I mean, speaking from lots and lots of experience, yes, the last thing we're worried about is bacteria when we could be finding pin tools and metal ribs in our clay. Those are the dangers of recycled community studio clay. But, it's still the same clay. And a lot of studios go through clay, that slurry on our floor in a bucket is not going to hang out that long before it then gets recycled. And it's still the same clay. So I don't think that there's any inherent danger in using recycled clay versus right out of the bag.
The other thing is, I guarantee there's bacteria in the new clay. Like, there's bacteria everywhere, right? The human mouth contains billions of bacteria.
Well, and they're not sterilizing the clay mixer.
Correct. That's what I was going to say, is they're using probably, tap water, which may or may not be sterilized. That water is just going into the same mixer that the previous batch was in. And there is definitely bacteria. There's bacteria in the clay when it comes out of the ground. Like, that is what happens. One thing we always talk about when we talk about health and safety in the studio is that your skin is your incredible barrier against the planet. And yes, some people have different sensitivities and variables, but like, if your skin is intact, like you don't have major cuts, that is a good barrier against it. Is it gross, and is it like might make you squeamish thinking about it? Like, oh man, all the things in life that we don't talk about that are really disgusting that we deal with every day. Like, that's just one of them. I would not be concerned. We use Reclaim. We've always used Reclaim. I've never gotten an illness that I could attribute to Reclaim.
Yeah. A matter of fact, I have to go mix some Reclaim. So,
yeah.
No.
And Kathy runs a studio with hundreds of people all in the same Reclaim, and it hasn't turned into some science experiment that'll kill us all. So
It doesn't live in the backwoods somewhere.
So far, so far. All right. I mean, I think I'm kind of stopping myself because when we take our slurry or we take our sink slop like out of the sinks, we put them in plaster troughs to dry out before we throw that in the dumpster. I mean, and that stuff is disgusting.
It is.
And smells terrible. So if I can see like what's making that smell that bad? Because that's essentially just clay sitting in a sink. So I don't know what happens to that poor clay sitting in the sink versus
it's a petri dish.
It's
just there growing and aging. Oh, I have one thing I have to add though. This is a track back to something we talked about last season. So last season we were having that conversation about the whether or not bacteria or aging clay makes it better. And I had said what I always say of that. Oh, there are no, you always hear these stories about the family of Japanese potters that are storing their clay to age it to make it better. And I said, nobody does that. Well, correction. I have been dutifully corrected. A friend of ours, Kevin, who has a lot of connections with Japanese potters, had told me he, in fact, does know of a Japanese pottery family that does buy clay and save it for the future generations. But it has nothing to do with aging that clay. It just has to do with whenever they find a batch or deposit of clay that works super well for their process, they will buy up as much of it as they can just to make sure that they have the best clay for their pottery for as long as they can store. But it is not about aging it and making it better.
Interesting.
It is just for stock of good stuff.
That's good to know. Good to know.
So I stand corrected. Thank you, Kevin.
Throw out that theory.
All right. There you go. See, right again. I'm right again. Okay. Like how I slid that in there.
Celebration music.
Okay. So our final question, let's get to that. We are going to hear from no, we're not going to hear it all because we're going to hear my dulcet tones read this question. Jess Volk wrote in and asked, how do we lessen our carbon footprint here at Ceramic Materials Workshop with all our testing?
Ooh, that's such a good idea. Our question. So we do quite a few different things. So we built our studio fairly new, 4 years ago?
4 years, something like that.
Gosh, probably like 10 years ago when we started dreaming about building our own studio, we said we would do solar panels. And when we built, that was on our list of must-haves. And we have this huge solar array on our house and our studio. And it's
huge,
81
irrationally huge.
It is irrationally huge. I forget what the wattage is, but it's 81 solar panels. It fills the whole south side of the house roof and the barn roof. And we can expand it by putting it on the garage. Yeah, so 26 kilowatt hours. It's massive. It powers our house, it powers our truck, it powers the barn, which we call our studio.
We have an electric truck, she's saying. Not a dump truck, as our friends say. We have a different electric truck.
Yes, we have an electric truck. And that supplements all of our power is our solar array. And it's yes, it was a large upfront cost, but in the end, it's been amazing for us.
Right. Up until we got the electric truck, we didn't have an electrical bill from our house and the workshop.
Yeah, the electrical company paid us because we were producing so much power.
And it's actually, it's also not just us because my dad, who's retired, lives with us and he's got an apartment on our house too. And that was all paid for with the solar. Now, the one question people ask for about the solar is, can you fire a kiln on the solar? The answer is we have what's called a grid tied system. So what Rose is saying is that we produce solar all day long when the sun is shining, and anything that is not being directly used by us gets fed back to the grid, and our electric meter literally runs backwards. But it also means that we're tied to the grid. So often when we're firing our kilns, because the amps are high, we are pulling back power that we've already sent to the grid. But our net energy usage was 0 effectively. But we are not literally using the solar panels to fire the kilns. Because can you do that? Yes, but it sort of limits what you need to do. And we may have a small kiln problem, y'all. We have a lot of kilns.
We do.
And we can fire all of them. We also tend to fire at night. Which again, don't get solar during the night. But yes, we are able to produce enough energy to offset all of our electric usages. That said, we're not perfect human beings, and ceramics is not a perfect medium. We also have a gas kiln. And there is no way around that, people. Our gas kiln is run on good old fossil fuels. We have a propane tank because we do live out in the woods. We're not on a natural gas line. And we have a propane tank to fire our gas kiln. And that's the only way to do a gas kiln. And so that is straight up using a fossil fuel. So that is it. And I will say, to make everybody feel bad as we finish off the episode, we in ceramics as a whole are literally, y'all are like the worst people for the environment of like all your friends and family. Y'all are just terrible for the environment because we are burning fossil fuels or maybe using a little bit of solar power to make pretty things. Like, yeah, oh my gosh, you guys, like your cousin who's an accountant is a radical environmentalist compared to you because their electricity usages, their energy usages are just enough to run their laptop to run that spreadsheet versus us who we're using a lot of energy to make these things happen. So we need to do the things that we can to try to replenish it. For Rose and I, that was investing in our solar. That was a great investment. We were happy to do it. We love it. Absolutely love it.
And invest in the electric truck for material pickups. When we order materials, we use the electric truck to go pick it up. We don't send out the delivery truck. Yeah, that's charged with our solar.
We specifically charge that, like most people charge theirs during night when, the energy prices are cheaper. We charge during the day when the solar is kicked in so that we literally just take the energy from the sun straight to our truck. As far as the material waste, there is material waste. That is ceramics again. There is mining involved. That is ceramics. And we need to be as conscientious as we can. We need to minimize the waste as best we can. And we need to be really aware of shipping, right? We've talked about that before with things like thinking about temperature in our materials. We're big advocates for cone 10 around here. And a lot of people are like, oh, cone 10, nobody does cone 10 anymore. No, cone 10 is, I would argue, more environmentally friendly because the mining stream of getting frits to you, which you're generally going to need to get to cone 6, is a huge infrastructure stream. That is multiple mines shipping to a frit company. The frit company has a building. They've got energy. They've got employees who are commuting to work to make your frits. And all of that is part of the gross energy usage. And that's not great. And so you need to be conscientious about not just your energy usage, but the gross energy usage of everything that you're involved with. And that certainly is a real factor when thinking about these things.
Fascinating.
Depressing.
So who wants to talk about kilowatt hours?
I know. Well, you guys got it going on in your super studio. So that is all the time we have.
Oh, so sad.
I know.
Yeah. Good questions.
I know, right? It's incredible, the questions. It's so great. So we have more to hit next time. So I'll see you then.
See you, Kathy.
Well, folks, that's it for this week's episode of For Flux Sake. I'd like to thank the listeners who submitted questions this week. And if you want your question answered on the show, shoot us an email at for FluxSakePodcast at gmail.com. So join us next time, and when in your studio, remember what Rose always says.
Always remember to test, test, test. This is a test of the emergency glaze system. Beep. Hey, for Flux Sake friends, wish you could hang with us a little more each month? Well, you can come join us at our For Flux Sake fan club on Patreon. You'll get discounts on our new merch, chances to chat with us during live hangouts, and extra episodes just for you. Find us at patreon.com/ForFluxSakePodcast. We'd love to see you there.